All right, troops. Bruce, great to see you, my friend. How are you getting on?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm doing good. You're in privileged company, my friend. You're one of the very few that has now been on the show 3 times.
Well, I like to think that the privilege is being in my company, but
Well, it's
I'm
a
modest.
joint thing. It's a joint thing, I would say. Like, we're in each other's company, and we're both
Yes,
awesome. What can we say?
that's true. Good interview.
Yeah.
It was nice talking to you.
Good interview. Is that what you call a short?
That would be this would fit within the original confines of a TikTok, of the original
Hey,
TikTok.
there we go. What? I didn't even understand TikTok when it was meant to have started, let alone it's like we've got one for the ginger media, and I'm like, I still don't have a fucking clue. I'll just put things up, and if people say anything, fair dues. If they don't, yeah.
I mean, it's basically a slot machine. So you go on there and you're just, you get your short clip and then you're like, what else is there? What else is there? And you're hoping for that dopamine hit of a really cool video. But basically, it's sort of like a visual version of crack more than anything else.
I would love to see that in a review section. Visual version of crack, Bruce Nachsin.
Yes.
I think that's the best way to describe things. Like, just something like that. It was like when my mum said that this was almost like listening to a real podcast. And I was like, first of all, I'm a content creator. Let's get that right.
Yes.
It's like, but it's that way. I knew exactly what she meant and how it was and how it was meant to have been said. And I'm like, oh, but other people were like, she actually thinks you're trying. I was like, thanks for
No,
that.
there was a compliment in there.
There definitely was.
It was very much like what you're doing sounds just about real and professional. I'm so proud of you. I remember when you were eating your own boogers, and look at you now.
Well,
That's what your mother was saying.
Yeah, but in fairness, like the eating the boogers thing, that was probably only like a few months before that. You never know.
That
Is that
I had a friend who once
hungry.
called it nature's candy.
Yeah, guys get hungry.
Guys
it's the whole, there's a big over here. It's cost of living crisis. You can barely afford to. It's either it's been branded eat or heat, because you can't do both. You can't heat your house and you can't eat. So it's like, make your choice. And I'm like, well, there's natural resources.
Yeah, well, I love how there were supply chain issues, and now that we're well past the supply chain issues, the prices have remained.
Oh, in this case, it's like everybody has went nuts because like butter has went up to like £5. And I'm like,
£5 per actual weighted pound.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like pound coins is like, so like a 250 like gram bit of butter is like £5.75 or something.
So we're talking in America, that's around like $8.
Yeah, about like $8-9. And it was like, okay, I'm so glad that I never really had butter. I'm okay. I've hit the curve on that one. So seeing so many people lose their minds because like, butter and like baked beans or like the prices have jumped dramatically. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try and figure out how to eat on 20 pounds. It ain't gonna happen. I will starve for about 3 days.
Well, if you skip 2/3 of the week by not eating, you get to really consolidate that money and have good meals just for less periods of time.
Yeah.
Which for me would be very valuable at this point, considering that over the past year, with my foot injury and all the stuff going on with me, I've just been eating my feelings away. Not eating for 3 days is probably not the worst thing in the world that could happen to me. But I'm not the country of Scotland. I'm just me. So it really, I would definitely be very, very upset if it cost me more to buy baked beans than it would to buy, like the equivalent weight in gold. That would just be upsetting.
Yeah, it's the same like, like we love the American Coca-Cola. It's absolutely brilliant. So we got what's called the sugar tax over here. So basically, in a curve to combat obesity, they basically go, right, we're going to jack up the price of full sugar stuff. So companies need to change their recipes, which affected my beloved I Am Brew, and I am pissed about that. because it had high caffeine, high sugar, great hangover cure. That was it. Well, so people loved it. They changed that recipe. Coca-Cola, they knew from the 80s how badly when they messed up that recipe with New Coke, they went, okay, we're not changing it. Well, we will pay, well, you just have to charge more for our product. That's what they've done. And I'm like, that's okay, because at least we still have the choice. Well, they just took the choice away by going, we're just going to change all the recipes like with less sugar and still charge you more. And I'm like, no, I'll end up buying the cola because that's at least exactly the same. There has been no change. I'll pay higher for that because I had the choice to do so. I just won't be able to eat for about 4 days if I buy a bottle.
But at least you'd have the sugar to provide some of the calorie difference there.
Yeah, the sugar will help, but keep my natural reserves of fat naturally reserved, rather than it just being a case of I may die,
but you'll die satisfied.
Yeah, they never told you that. Like when it was COVID, they're like, like you're either going to die COVID or in 3 years you're going to die starvation. Thanks for that.
Oh, the modern world. And to think how promising it looked all 20 years ago.
To think of how promising it all looked, even like, just in 2019, when people were like, oh, we can go out and it's going to be great. We can just go places and we don't need to worry about masks and we don't need to worry about, a second war kicking off every 6 months. We don't need to worry about this war or this war. And like, hey, everything's great. And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's like, I worry for my kids. I really think that me having kids caused the apocalypse.
Well, I can't speak to how your DNA might have contributed to the end of the world, but I can certainly relate to the idea, because I didn't want to have kids, partially because of the way the world looked like it was angling. So,
yeah,
I can't imagine how, like, beyond the jokes, how terrifying it must be to think like, well, what's it going to be in 10 years, 20 years for my children?
Yeah. And it is something that, like, I'd make jokes about it because I am genuinely terrified for them. And like how bad, like people were terrified, like having like us like 20, 30 years ago, because they were like, the world is predicted to be crap. And 20, 30 years later, it is crap. And I was like, how's that going to be for our kids or their kids? It's like the never ending cycle of complete absolute dog meat is unreal. I just like, it's hard to believe. Well, I mean, I don't know obviously what it's like over like in America. I had Tom Myers on the show from Baltimore. He was talking about how there was a whole they weren't able to pick somebody for the Senate or whatever, and then basically like shut down essentially all his political comedy for about 3 months.
Oh, the House of Representatives, yes. Yeah. And then when they finally picked somebody, it was a religious fanatic who will pass no real legislation, but he will definitely. Sorry, I didn't disconnect my headphones from my phone. So now weird stuff is happening. Hold on 1 second.
The House of Representatives has bugged you, my friend. You were about to drop some inspirational knowledge there, and they've went, no. I'm like, for any Americans listening, you're talking to you.
Just to be clear, you can still hear me and I can still hear you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can definitely still hear you. Well, don't worry, this will stay in. Well,
no, please. I love when technical difficulties are part of the show.
I love it as well because it shows we're human. We make mistakes. And more importantly, we know now that America was bugging you.
Yes. My thoughts are so pivotal to the solution of the country.
Clearly so.
On top of me.
That's clearly so, my friend, because they just went, you cannot say anything now. And I'm like, it's to people in the UK. We won't have a clue what he's talking about. We're just glad he's on.
Yeah, no, it is frightening to the degree of it's like the whole your truth is your own truth and you do not have to relate to the facts things that became endemic in 2015 into 2016 with the whole run of Donald Trump has truly poisoned political discourse to a degree that is insane. Not that that poisoning wasn't going on previously, it was. But now you don't have conversations where you're talking about the same events, but what I'm talking about, even though it's the same words, is different than what that person is hearing. And what they're talking about is completely different to the reality that I'm experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you reconcile that. One, because I don't have a degree in sociology. And two, I don't know if it's just inherent to how we're built as humans for us to just lean into our biases to the point where we're more concerned about our biases than we are about the facts on the ground. I know for myself, I try to bear in mind my biases when I'm evaluating situations because I know what I want to believe. But just because I want to believe it doesn't mean that's true or accurate. And if I'm to deal with reality, I can't just go on what I want to be true.
Mm.
You know, but unfortunately, I don't have solutions.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem. No one has solutions. Not even the guys that are meant to have solutions have solutions. Like we're
Well,
all
that's
going,
because we don't elect people who have solutions. We elect people who are quote unquote electable. So you have to have a set of skills to get yourself elected, but those aren't the set of skills you need to run things.
mm-hmm.
Most people who would have the knowledge and the ability to conceive of solutions and implement them are probably not good on camera, and they're probably not good at talking to average people.
Mm.
So we don't elect them, we don't get their solutions, and instead we get, you know, people who like to throw bombs and make pithy comments that fit into a TikTok. There's
Yeah.
TikTok again, our visual crack machine.
The visual crack. That will definitely be in the title of this episode, is like the visual crack. Just because people will look at it and go, what were they talking about?
It has to be the visual crack machine.
I think I will need to put that in the visual crack machine. And whatever we can get a soundbite just as going, just saying that machine. Yeah, I just love the way you said it.
I did say it like that. I
Yeah.
did go very much like the visual crack machine.
I really like the way you said it though. Like, this is proof that you've got the voice for this, man. You've got the voice for it.
You know, it would be I usually have the voice a little bit better. I just got done being sick. So there's like a little, like I can feel a little bit of that, which reminds me I'm going to on camera take a drink to, you know, wet the burning
Wet the,
desert that is the throat.
wet the whistle, as they say. It's one of the ones where I normally do have like my juice and I'm like ready there, but because I just came from my support group, went straight to do the recording. I'm like, and I'd been shopping, got my shopping done. I was like, right, got my shopping out, got that sorted. Just to sat down, I'm like, I don't have a drink of juice, but feck it, why not?
But now that we've talked politics, we can talk about the real crux. And there's my ability to bring language to you, whoever you are, in your ears. All right, take two, clap. So I was going to try to transition us from talking politics, which can be very depressing, to the whole idea and crux of the show, which is mental health. I think we both had not our ideal years this past year.
Oh yeah, like it's not exactly been like the best. Like the irony is, by the time this recording drops, it'll have just hit 2024. So it'll be a good little time capsule for us to watch and go, 2023 was shit for us.
Yes.
Let's see how we are going to improve in 2024. So what would you say as actually, something that you want, if you want to watch this in 2024, and you had your kind of idea of how you're going to improve 2024, what would your kind of thing be for it?
My thing right now is everything stopped for me. So what I need to get to is somehow get myself back on track, because at the end of 2022, and then which got really bad in 2023, I injured myself. Now, as you know, I was a very physical person. Even if I was heavy, that's why I had a show called The Fittest Fat Kid You Know, because I even fit, thin, fat, whatever, I was always active. I worked out hours a day, 6 days a week. And it wasn't just like manic energy. It was something that really, fed me, like fed my soul, it was a point of pride. Then my foot injury happened, where something happened to my Achilles tendon. It wasn't a tear, though it might be a bunch of micro tears. The thing is, it's not getting better.
Yeah.
And it was problematic from October, but got really bad in March. And even now, I can't do my martial arts. I can't walk for extended periods of time. I can walk around, and I can even walk without it looking like I'm limping, even though I can feel that I am.
Hmm.
And it's derailed me in a way that nothing ever has derailed me before.
Yeah.
And also, none of my stuff was hitting. So I'm at a point where I kind of have nothing, and my brain is to some degree switched off. I don't mean that like I switched off and I'm just there like,
Hmm.
what I mean is that wherever my creative fountain, and I can be a very creative person, it's been off. And
Yeah.
I'm not, and I need to get that turned on. And I
Hmm.
need not for that not to be something that's happening in 2024, even though 2024 is frighteningly close. I need it to turn on now.
Yeah.
So what I have to do is something to make that happen. One of the things I've started to, I actually started earlier in the year, but I'm focusing on it more now, is I'm beginning to study some musical instruments, the drums. And
Nice.
also I had picked up piano before and I put it down for a few years. So it's
Yeah.
all gone. It's like totally, completely gone because I didn't stick with it long enough for it to really get into the membrane there.
Yeah.
Piano. I'm gonna be doing drums. I'm gonna be doing piano. I'm probably going to also make a point of working on my voice. So I'll be pursuing effectively 3 musical instruments because, to be honest with you, I can't sing, and I've only been able to sing once in my life.
Hmm.
After a year of voice lessons, I finally could do it, and then I stopped for some reason, and it all went away because everything's a
Hmm.
muscle. Everything goes away if you don't at least tap on it every so often.
Yeah.
So that's just to get creative things happening. And also, I like music, so I want to have a greater understanding of music.
Hmm.
But I need to somehow get back onto something that I can build a career out of.
Hmm.
For whatever reason, my podcasts never took off, but always they were themed in some way. I need
Hmm.
to figure out what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I had several things happen this year that were kind of disappointing, where I had somebody who wanted to write and make movies and stuff like that, and it just never went anywhere. And then I had another friend who was going to help me focus, and then that never quite happened. And then it comes back to always like, well, I'm relying on somebody and I can't because something always comes up.
Hmm.
And then the other thing I need to do is I've never felt worse about myself because I'm heavy again. And I
Hmm.
was heavy before, but I was heavy and fit and I was working towards something. With the foot, I've not been able to really focus. And it also created this need to comfort eat, which was my ingrained coping mechanism, which is not a good one because, now I'm probably heavier than I've ever been.
Hmm.
And even in the age of body positivity, I respect people who can be comfortable with themselves, but I'm just not comfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to be comfortable in my skin like this. There's too much childhood trauma built around weight that I'm never going to be comfortable being like, you know what? I'm okay being like this because I'm not.
Hmm.
I like to flip around. I like to do martial arts. I like to put in a lot of physical stuff. And it's harder to do that where I'm at. So
Hmm.
I need to get on top of that. I need to break the cycle of comfort eating, get on, I don't want to say a diet. I need to get back to what was an effective eating methodology that kept me happy and healthy.
Hmm.
Because one of the thing that I always did was keto.
Hmm.
And the thing about keto, and this is something that a lot of people don't understand for me, is it brought me a clarity that other things didn't. And I don't mean that in some spiritual sense. I
Hmm.
mean, the lack of sugar made it easier for me to focus, made it easier for me to feel good, made
Hmm.
it easier for me to feel, vibrant. And it was a physiological thing. It wasn't a mental. I mean, it's a mental thing because out of your physiology comes your mental state. But it wasn't that I was imagining it. There were physical changes that enhanced how I felt emotionally.
Hmm.
And, I mean, the flip side is you miss having cookies and cakes and all these different things. And in my case, rice. I love rice.
Hmm.
But the price of that is feeling like shit. The price of that is being a bit fuzzy headed. The price of that is being depressed.
Yeah.
And these are the things I need to do to feel better. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a game plan, kind of, but my will is at an all time low. And that's the thing. How do you rebuild that?
Hmm.
But
Well,
how are you?
I think one of the things that you've actually done to start building it is coming on here. What and getting it out. What I've said, well, you know what, when you watch this video when it drops in January, what watch this specific part, what, and go, right, have I started with my music? What have I done a couple of keys on the piano? What have I, banged the drums a little bit? Have I booked a singing lesson? What, and the same deal, like, you look at how physically what have I done? Like, yes, my foot's fucked, but what can I do what around that to boost other parts of myself? Like, have I got my eating regimen under control? What, so you can look at these things and go, okay, when this comes out, I've maybe done this, I've maybe done this, maybe I've not done that, but that's something. Oh, I forgot I said that. Maybe that's something that'll help me going. What, and the more things you start checking off those lists, the more your natural creativity will start to come back, because you said it yourself. Everything's a muscle. Like, creativity is a muscle.
Mhm.
If you don't exercise it, it's fucked. Or if you put too many blockers towards it, it's also screwed. Like, myself, like, over this last year, my head has been completely bonkers. Well, I have not. It's why everything tanked the way it did on this channel, because I knew I wasn't being authentic to myself. The audience could pick up on it and were like, he's not buying his own hype, so why should we listen to him? Well, whether that's true or not, they will not say, but the analytics didn't lie. Everything dropped like a stone. So it was the same deal. I was like, I want my thing for looking at this when it gets 2024. I want to be ready to round this final season off on a high. I want to be getting back to my creative self. And the most important thing, I want to be the dad and the husband that I was trying to be before everything went to shit at the end of 2022. I was on like the form of my life, and it just gone. Thanos snapped. And I was like, fuck. And I've not been able to get out of that. Well, and it's taken me so long to get to the point where I'm like, I may be able to crawl out again and finally get going.
Is this
Well,
series of recordings helping you?
yes and no. They're helping me in the sense that it's great to speak to people. It's great to catch up with people like yourself and other guests that have been on. It's great to talk to new guests. But the downside of it is, so much happened so quickly. Like, I was doing 4 recordings a day for 2.5 weeks solid.
That's a lot.
That it is a lot. I mean, 50 people reached out. And I was like, fuck. And 48 people at the time of this recording are ready to roll. Only 2 have cancelled and rearranged. It's only getting to the stage now at this recording time that it's starting to die down a bit. And I'm like, oof, that was a lot. It was a lot to do, but I wanted to do it so I knew that I could. And I could try and end this on the way that I want to end it. My goal was to hit 200 videos. If I get to that, or even a little bit beyond it, and go, I got to 200, that's more than probably most shows in the entire universe at this point in time. I can call it and I could be happy with it. And I need to end on a happy high, because I'm less likely to chase that holy grail. Like, everybody says to me, like, at the time I was recording, I've been sober for 7.5 years. They're like, how the hell have you done it without? Because I didn't go to meetings, I didn't go to 12-step programs, nothing like that. And they're like, but how did you do it on will alone? I was like, I ended on a high. I stopped the day after I got married because it was the best day of my life. I woke up the next day, no hangover. I felt great. I was lying next to the love of my life. I was like, this is a good day to stop, because this is the best that it's going to get. Before, obviously, my kids came, because we weren't planning kids at that point. I just married the love of my life. I was 100% happy. There was no feeling like it. And I was like, this is when I stop, and nothing will stop me.
Reinforcing positive association.
Exactly. So that was the way that I was able to stop and able to keep it stopped, because I'm like, I don't want to slip. Because if I slip, I'm going to regret it, and I'm going to dive back down that hole. I don't want to do that. It's the same with acting. I haven't been on the stage at time of recording in 10 years, like doing a performance, like, playing a character in a play or whatever. Because the play that I bowed out on was 3 sold out nights in my local theatre, and I got to play a part I'd wanted to play for years. It was a small part, by people's definition. There's no small parts, small actors. As I think I could get away with saying that now, or that classed as dwarfism.
I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that there are there's no small parts, but there are a lot of emotionally stunted actors.
Oh, there's definitely that as well. I was one of those. But it was the same deal. I got to start in a play that I studied since high school. I got to perform in a theatre that
Well, what
I
is the
loved.
play? You keep mentioning the play. Tell me the name.
It's called The Steamy by Tony Roper. And it's about like the Glasgow steamy wash houses in the 1950s. And it's about 4 women who do all their washing in this steamy. And there's one guy part, and he's the most useless SOB in the world, who kind of looks after the place, but he's just too busy because it's on New Year's, and he's just getting absolutely sozzled. You just see him getting progressively more drunk as the play is going on. And it was something that even like I had to sing in this, because there's 2 versions of the play. There's the musical version, and there is just the straight play without songs. The director chose the songs. I had one song, and I was absolutely terrified. I was like, I don't have the strongest voice anymore. I was like, but I can act like a mofo. So I'm going to ham this up like there's no tomorrow. And standing ovations 3 nights. As a result, for the play as well. And I thought, this is a great play. It was a great group of people that I was performing with. I can satisfactorily say that I am done. I don't need to go back. And 10 years later, at the time of this recording, I still haven't. So ending with, like you said, the positive affirmation. It's working. And maybe it's just something that we need to get to help you as well with. Get that positive affirmation back with you. Start doing something that makes you feel good and keep running with it. Obviously, I say running without meaning offense because your foot's fucked. But you know what I meant. Hopefully.
I mean, I was deeply hurt, but I'll curse you later.
I mean,
no, it's fine. It's fine.
It's all right. But it was the same kind of deal. It's like, I'll be looking back at this and going, I was recording for 4 days straight for 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks, 4 recordings a day. I was tired. I was burnt out, but I did it. And I had great conversations with amazing people, got to catch up with good friends from all around the world. And I can look back at it and go, this is the right call for me to do, to sign off on a high. People look at it and go, but it's 10,000 subscribers, 10,000. You can't walk away from 10,000 subscribers. But only 55 people watched the video.
Right.
So if you look at the law of percentages there, I don't think that's even a percent of that. It's not even, doesn't even make up 1%, I would say.
But also we talked about this offline, but the reality is this is not your only show.
Yeah.
This is the show that is the most emotionally draining. You're not walking away from this. You're walking away from this particular show. You've got other shows that bring you happiness. That isn't, it's important to talk about things like mental health. But the reality is, because I just left a show that was about bullying, and the show's continuing without me. I helped the guy start it. I taught him how he could do it. And then I just didn't want to be there anymore because I don't want to talk about bullying week in, week out. I didn't want to edit bullying week in and week out. These types of shows take an emotional toll, even when they're good, even when they do something that is helpful. Talking about mental health and your mental health day in and day out is draining. And for people to listen to it, it's draining. You may feel better about something you're dealing with having listened to a show, but you also feel spent. And that's a big thing to hold on to. That's a big thing to do for 200 to 200 plus episodes. That's an accomplishment. But you have other shows where you have fun, where you get to be you. Because here, you can't fully, you can be you. I'm being me, but I'm not being the me that you sit down and talk to when we're just hanging out, because that is not respectful of the topic. So you get to be more you, as in the Ginger Engine or one of the other shows you do, where you're just going on about wrestling or pop culture, and people more engage with that versus the headier stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely, it's something. I mean, you look at the comment section of the videos, how many people leave comments on, well, and this one, and this show in particular, not many, because it's
right.
something, it's a minefield to leave a comment on it, because, well, of the subject matter, people were, well, rightfully scared in case there's backlash. I get it. The
Mhm.
Thomas the Tank Engine one, people don't give a shit.
Of course not.
Because I say, as long as you're respectful, and enjoy the videos, it's okay. If you're not, I delete you. Done. I don't give a shit. It's like, I do this for fun. The fact that you guys actually like that I know stuff about talking trains, or as we have to say properly, steam engines. About a show that was made almost 40 years ago, and a book series that started it, which is almost 80 years old.
Isn't it still going? Don't they have like
there's all engines go. We don't count it. It's counted as a reboot because there's no official canonical link. It's like someone just properly hit the reset button. So we just take it, the 24 seasons we got and go, we're cool with that. We're fine. I'm just waiting to see if Mattel are listening in right now to block me and charge me $10,000 for mentioning it. Well, but the point is, like, I know that subject and it brings me joy.
right.
It makes me happy. It makes others happy as well. Because they don't feel alone. This type of show makes people feel less alone. I do not deny that. But they're more scared to engage. And again, I totally understand that. And you're right, it can be draining talking about mental health, especially being the guy who's in the chair. I mean, we spoke about it previously when you were on. I said, I am terrified to pick this mic up when it comes to this show. It's like, I'm terrified to do it because of the subject matter, because I'm also, like, essentially bearing a bit of my soul that I don't normally like to share. I was like, I'm telling everybody, I am fucked. I was like, and as much as I love the fact that people go, you're saying it, well done. Well, it takes balls to do it, but it also breaks you every single time.
Yes.
Well, and I love promoting people's work. I love promoting others that come on and go, right, where can they find your stuff? Like, as we'll obviously get to you in a minute and talk about, say where they can find you in the socials, because that is a great part of doing it. But there's only so much that you can give without the take, that your ego naturally takes a hit. It's nothing against anybody that comes on. I love having my guests on. They're great. They're fantastic. And I want them to succeed. Well, it's just that tiny, tiny, tiny little part of nagging doubt in the back of the brain that just goes, but you ain't worth anything. Why are they doing this? And it's shit. It can be shit. So
that definitely can really screw you up. I'm not sure how I did it, but a long time ago that I've turned off. So I don't suffer from imposter. Well, it also helps that I know a lot of famous people and I know who they are behind the fame. And the reality is it's not that they don't work hard. They do. It's not that they aren't talented. They are, but they're also where they're at because of a degree of luck and circumstance that put the ball in their court. They just acted on having that ball in their court in the proper way. But they're no more or less worthy to be where they're at than anybody else is. Yeah. And once I came to that realization, it helped remove the, like, well, what am I doing here? Why am I talking about it? Like, I know that you can't turn that voice off, and nothing that I say to you will turn that voice off. But the reason you belong here is because you've been here for 150, 160 episodes. The reason you belong here is because you speak with a degree of authority from experience and knowledge of the stuff going on in your head and understanding the stuff going on in other people's head. You belong here as much as anybody else does. It is that simple. Now, of course, me saying this won't change anything because, we all live in the muck that is our own mind, but that's the reality of it. Yeah. You know what you're doing. You've done it a long time now, and you belong here as much as anybody else does. Chances are a lot more than most who do this anyway.
Thank you, my friend. And to round off, let's tell all my audience, the ones that still watch, where they can find you. What? For the third time. because if they haven't already, they need to find you now. So sell it, my friend.
Yes. So there is my YouTube channel, which is Bruce Nachsin. I am on Instagram as Bruce Nachsin. It's been a long time, and chances are you won't find much content these days, but that will change at some point in the relative near future. There's also Instagram, TikTok, Bruce Nachsin, Bruce Nachsin.
Yeah.
And you can email me if you've got a question, concern, thought. I mean, if you've had a thought, you've had a thought in a long time, and you're just like thrilled to share it with somebody, and you have no friends, which is possible, then you can just email it to me at brucenachsin.com.
Yep. And those links will be in the description of this video, and you'll saw little wee graphics that I do for all the socials now. I've learned that 1% that way. Bruce, it's always great to speak to you. You're a great guy. And I hope that at 2024, when this comes out, you watch this and you realize your worth and how much you're going to do next year. I have 100% faith in you, my friend. You're going to smash it. And I want to be there to say, well done when you do.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And also to you, even though you're closing the chapter on the Mental Ginger Show, this isn't the close of Andrew the presenter, Andrew the performer, Andrew the podcaster, Andrew the YouTube guru, or however you want to phrase it or do it. You are continuing in lots of different angles and actions. It's just the close of this one chapter. You're shutting this door, but it's not even that you're opening a new door. Those doors are already opening. You're already doing all these different things. Your 2024 is going to be awesome as well.
Thank you.
These little hiccups are just hiccups, and you'll get through them. I will get through them. We will get through them.
Thank you, my friend. And until next time, everybody, I've been Andrew Durning, and this has been the brilliant Bruce Nachsin. Please check out the links that are in the description of this video. Give them some support. And until next time, take care. Stay safe.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.